If you've watched many of my videos or follow me on Instagram, you've seen the roof basket that was always on my Forester. While I liked the way the basket looked, I found it rather inconvenient to use and decided to move in another direction with my roof storage. My goals were to be able to carry recovery gear, fuel, water, and camping equipment outside of the car, eliminate the need to use ratchet straps, and pull it together on very little budget. I scored this skinny Thule roof box off Craigslist for next to nothing. It's surprisingly spacious in spite of its narrow width and will easily carry things like my compressor, snatch straps and shackles, firewood, camp chairs, and my awning components. That leaves me some of the dirty stuff that I'd rather not even have in the box. The only pre-made solution I found was this half-width platform made by Rhino Rack. It looks well made for strapping stuff onto it with bungees or ratchet straps, but that's exactly what I'm trying to eliminate. I'm going to head over to Bring Recycling in Glenwood. This organization accepts donated salvaged building materials, equipment, and hardware, and resells it to, well, low-budget do-it-yourselfers like me. Let's poke around in the metal area and see what we can find. Oh, hello. Take a look at this stuff. So this is called Unistrut or Superstrut, and it's some kind of modular industrial material used in a variety of ways. But what I see is heavy-duty galvanized metal that can be configured to my liking and is lined with holes that look perfect for attaching mounts of all sorts. Best of all, I lucked into these perfectly sized scraps for a grand total of $16. Well, I'm going to need some additional hardware to pull this together, so now I'm headed out to my favorite home improvement store to get what I need. I was thinking it would be easier to pre-paint all these pieces before assembly, but it is wet and about 37 degrees today. Wrong conditions for spray painting. It's not just raining, it's raining ice. Of course, the one day I want to paint something. I'm going to try to pull this together anyway and live with it for a while. When the weather is more accommodating, I'll make any tweaks and then get some paint on it. using some square bend U-bolts to attach the main long rails to my crossbars. So one of the ways this stuff goes together is with these nylon lined nuts. This little nylon collar helps hold the nut in place, and those grooves slide right onto the notches. You just slide that in there, and then you can position it in the spot you want it, and that piece of nylon basically holds it in place so it doesn't swim around in there or get off the tracks. I'm putting a hex bolt with a washer and a fender washer up through the long rail into the specialized Superstrut nut in the cross pieces. And as you tighten that nut down, it pulls that down onto that, and it's very, very solid. So I got all of the strut pieces mounted, the long ones and the short cross pieces, everything tightened down, squared up, looks good, feels very, very solid. It's not going anywhere, I hope. So I'm working on mounting the Rotopax mount. So for the Rotopax mount, I put 2 pieces of strut across the long pieces so that I have 4 mounting points. Alright, that thing is on there. It is solid. The FuelPax gas can from Rotopax is kind of the big splurge on this project. I looked at steel jerry cans and jerry can mounts, but that was going to be even more expensive. For my XBull traction boards, I'm attaching 4 long bolts to the front 2 cross struts. I did position those cross struts to line up with the mounting holes in the traction boards. So I got this piece of perforated metal strapping. I'm going to cut it to make straps basically to hold down the traction boards between the 2 bolts that I've got going up. Not perfect, but I think good enough for being up on the roof where no one's going to see them. I think that looks pretty tidy. So I was going to try to mount the axe using quick fists. I'm not really satisfied with how they're holding it on there. I think I may just get a dedicated axe mount. So this is the little shovel that has been attached to my roof basket as long as I've been driving down trails in the woods. And it's been a very useful shovel. It works great for fire pit duty and doing your business in the woods duty. It's perfect size. But what I realized when we were up in the hills a few weeks ago and we got stuck in the snow and I tried to do some digging, this little thing just didn't get us very far. So I decided to get a little bit bigger shovel. I think this one may still ride along in the back because it's the perfect size for taking a little walk in the woods. And I just used my quick fist mounts bolted onto those struts. Alright, final detail is the awning support. And I've used these conduit hangers that I bolted onto the cross pieces of strut. And there's the other one. So it still needs to be painted, but functionally I think it came together pretty well. I may reconfigure this somewhat, and then I'll also probably cut the cross struts shorter once I know for sure how everything is going to be positioned. But I'm going to live with it for a while so I can see how it goes and think about how I'd like to improve it. All in all, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, especially for the price. And I think once it's all painted black, it'll look reasonably decent. I'll eventually follow up with part 2 after I've made any final changes and painted everything.